morning, everybody. My name's Darlene, and I have Parkinson's. I want to talk today a little bit about something that I'm trying to learn. I can't say as I've learned it because I haven't, but I'm trying to learn. And that's how to be flexible when things don't go my way. For example, with Parkinson's, when you take your medicine, it usually works when you first start taking it. And you get used to that. You start thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. And you get used to doing it. Then all of a sudden you'll have a time where it goes a little bit longer than it should in between doses. And you have that very still moment. And you think to yourself, well, I wonder how come I'm being still that time. And then you start realizing the things that affect you. If you're very stressed, you will have doses that the whole dose doesn't work. If you get upset over something, you'll have whole doses that won't work. And it's not necessarily right when it happens. You can have been upset earlier in the day, kind of gotten over it, just have a niggly thought here and there in your mind, and then take your dinner time tablets and go, oh, this will be great, I'll be doing fine. And you're not doing fine because they don't work. And when you're first taking the levodopa, when I say they don't work, it means that you become very still and rigid. Your feet don't work right, your hands don't work right, all your tendons get kind of tight, and it's not comfortable. So therefore you start realizing that other people might be uncomfortable with you shaking or tremoring or whatever. I don't have shaking or tremoring. I have dyskinesia, which I'll explain in a minute, but the shaking or tremoring might be bothersome for somebody to watch. But when I have talked to people who tremor, they said it doesn't really bother them other than, when they're trying to eat a bowl of soup or something, then it's more difficult. But it's different with dyskinesia, because dyskinesia is not from Parkinson's, it's from the medication. So when your medication starts to not work or have a lot of different periods of time, where you go up and then it stops working and then you go down, you take another dose and you go up. When the time coming off of the medicine and going straight across and then starting to feel something from the medicine, when that starts to get a little bit longer in between, for me, I was taking I can only speak for myself. Everybody is different. So for me, I was taking every 3 hours, I was taking a dose. So in my 3 hours, I could have about 45 minutes of good time, and then I had about 45 minutes of coming down off of the drug and have it running it across. And then I would take a dose and I'd have about 45 minutes to try to get back up to the top where it was working. So I was finding that I was having about 1 good hour out of every 3. And people didn't realize exactly how bad it was, that downtime. Now, as that downtime increased, the doctors are very good about giving you more of that drug, the levodopa, to keep your brain going so that you can continue on with life as best you can. And that worked for a long time. I started out with a dose of approximately 8 pills, and I ended up with a dose of 28 pills in a day. And that just was hard for my brain. I was taking so much levodopa, so you kind of reach a critical point where that levodopa is now becoming a problem. So the problem is not necessarily the Parkinson's, then it's the levodopa. So then they start to come down with your dose of it. And as the dose decreases, you find that the dyskinesia gets a little bit worse. Dyskinesia is the movement that comes from too much dopamine in your brain. So when you're taking that high dose, your brain needs it to function at all, and yet if you're functioning at all, you've got big movements with your arms and your legs, and it's very weird, So for me, I'm in the process of decreasing my levodopa. And as that happens, I am discovering that my downtime is also affecting my brain, as in I can't think clearly. I things that I know I can't do, and I'm finding problems with everyday tasks. I was washing dishes today, and I can't tell you how many things I dropped. Thank goodness most everything was plastic, but I drop a lot of things. You've seen me when I'm trying to do any kind of cooking, I'm throwing things around and stuff. I know I just have to clean it up later because I can't stop doing that. It's just one of those things you can't stop doing. And you have to learn how to become flexible with that. If you want to say, I want to go for coffee with my girlfriend Mary Jo at 3 o'clock tomorrow, you don't know if you're going to be feeling good at 3 o'clock tomorrow. You're best to call Mary Jo at 2:45 and say, hey, Mary Jo, do you want to go for a cup of coffee? If you're having a good day. Because you can't count on it. If you're having to go in for a test, like when they were doing the thing in my, what was that thing they called it, Claudine, for your, was it a lumbar puncture? Yeah. A lumbar puncture, they were doing that. I had to lay very still for that. The only way I could lie very still for that was to miss a dose on purpose of my medicine and hope that I could get that stillness while they did that. But that also means that if you're in that still set time frame, that you're already in pain and they're about to do something else to you. But that's the only way that you can sit there for that. You can't, like when I had to do my bone scan, I had to miss doses of medicine in order to be able to have that lay still while I was in there to have the test. Otherwise, there'd be no point in having the test. It would not show up. So you just have to learn to be flexible with it and just say, when I'm having a good time, I will do what I want to do. Unfortunately for me, the best time for me, I have a bad time usually somewhere between 4 and 10 at night. 8 to 10 is usually not very good. And I have a good time after that. And usually it happens that I am good up till about 2 o'clock in the morning. I can get a lot accomplished in that time frame. But then you're, not having a long period of sleep. But I sleep in a little bit longer. My home care worker comes a little bit later for me. She doesn't come until about 9:45. So that does give me time to lay in. I say lay in, but when you don't go to bed until late, then, it's laying in, but you're getting the same amount of sleep. But I don't usually function on that kind of a schedule. I usually function on a get up in the morning and do what you want, and it's hard when you can't do what you want. But I have to learn, it's not always going to be easy, and when the hard times come, just try to be as flexible as you can be. Speaking of flexible, I was going to take a picture like this for my thumbnail, but I didn't. There's times when my feet, in my course of my medicine, my feet and legs will just suddenly go up in the air for no reason. I mean, I can be sitting in my wheelchair and all of a sudden I'll look up and I don't even feel it happening. My feet are way up in the air. I did it one time where I was sitting cross-legged, and no, I wasn't sitting. I was laying on my bed cross-legged, and all of a sudden at my waist I started to bend up, and my feet went up in a cross-legged fashion while I was laying on the bed, and they stayed there for 30 minutes. I said, if I tried to do that when I wasn't having a symptom of some sort, I wouldn't be able to do that for 2 minutes. Like, there's no way. But it just happens on its own. So that's the reason that we got the tie downs, which I haven't shown you yet, but the tie downs for my legs for when I'm in my wheelchair. I tie them down to the chair. We we were doing it with bungee cords and rope. And then I said to Claudine, wouldn't it be funny if one of these times somebody reported that you were tying this old woman into a wheelchair? I thought it'd be funny. But anyway, she didn't think it was going to be very funny if that happened. So we decided to get this apparatus that, it looks like it's a part of the wheelchair, and it holds my legs still. And I wanted to tell you one funny story. I don't know how funny it is, but it tickled my funny bone. We were at Walmart, we'd been shopping, and it started to rain. So Claudine says to me, she goes, I'm going to leave you parked right here just inside the foyer, like where you get your buggies before you get into the store. She says, I'm going to leave you right here in the foyer, and she says, I'm going to go get the car and pull it up so you don't have to walk in the rain or wheel in the rain. You just come out the door and I'll get you. I said, okay, fine. Well, while I was sitting there, this really nice woman said, well, she was quite young, but she says to me, she says, can I give you a hand? And I said, yes, my daughter's just pulling up to the door here, but if you wouldn't mind pushing me to the door, then I would be able to, speed up the process for her because I'd already be there. So she gets a hold of me and she brings me out there. And well, Claudine is just pulling up as she sees this happening. And she came flying out of her car, like I don't know what. And she goes, what are you doing with my mother? I said, whoa, Claudine, she's being very nice to me. She's giving me a hand. But Claudine said, just for that moment, she thought somebody was stealing me. She said, I told you just to stay inside there. And I said, well, I thought I was helping. But anyway, so I said, I know that nobody would be allowed to steal me because she would definitely stand up for me. Anyway, all right, that's it for today. I've chatted a long time about something that is important, but is maybe kind of boring. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.